Welcome to the EmpowHERment Hour, a podcast dedicated to the woman ready to take charge of her life, live in her purpose, and be unapologetically authentic. I am your host, Nancy Ruffin, award-winning author, mommypreneur, and the self-proclaimed Latina Oprah who is dedicated to helping women unleash their power, discover their purpose, and live up to their fullest potential. My goal is to empower you, inspire you, and help you unlock your passions and discover your purpose so that you live the most fulfilled and impassioned life. If you're ready to make a change and start living on purpose, then you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back to another week of the EmpowHERment Hour podcast. It's your girl, Nancy Ruffin, and this is our last show of 2017. Wow. I almost cannot believe that in, 3 days, this year will be over and we will be welcoming in a new year with new goals, new visions, new dreams, and many more new and exciting episodes of the EmpowHERment Hour podcast. Guys, I have to tell you that this has been an amazing year, not only for myself personally and professionally, but our listenership, if that's even a word, has increased so much this year. There's so many new people listening to the EmpowHERment Hour podcast. So many of you are posting about it. You're sending me messages about how it has helped you throughout the past year. And it just really affirms for me that I have to keep doing this work. And I know that I've been a little MIA the last couple of weeks. I'm actually a little bit behind with this episode, but so much has been happening this last month of the year. I've been just insanely busy. I've been prepping for all of the new workshops that I'm going to be hosting at the beginning of the year. I know many of you have already registered for my sold out vision board workshop that's happening next week. I added a second workshop February 3rd because the demand was so high, and we're, I think, at 80% capacity with that one. I also, a couple of weeks ago, as you all know, because many of you attended, I held my It's Lit end of year celebration. And if you missed it, my gosh, you missed such an amazing time. I will tell you that we packed the venue from front to back. It was just a beautiful gathering of women, dope souls, unicorns, you name it, we had it. And we shared many of the women who attended my vision board workshop in January were in attendance, and they shared all of their success stories. They inspired every single woman in the room. I also have to say a special thank you to my guest speaker, the head unicorn in charge, Stephanie Fuentes, aka Better Life Choices of New York, aka The Life Architect. She was phenomenal. And I will tell you that if you weren't there, you missed an amazing metaphor for the Lion King. She used the story of the Lion King in a way to kind of highlight where she is in her own life as it relates to her writing. And one of the things that I was very intentional about doing when choosing who I wanted to come speak as my guest speaker was that I wanted to not only select someone who I love, admire, and respect, but I also wanted to invite someone who is doing similar work to me. And Stephanie, she's one half of Not Your Mama's podcast. She is a certified life coach. She's constantly on Instagram dropping her gems and her Insta stories. And a lot of the work that I do is very similar to the work that she does. And I wanted to have her come and speak to the women at the event because I wanted them to see that although Stephanie and I do similar work, I don't feel threatened by her in any way because we are all uniquely gifted and talented. And the way that we deliver our messages is going to be different because we are different people and our experiences are different. And I wanted her to come and share her experiences and her insight and her gems with the women who have been loyally supporting me for the past 6-7 years, because I'm always preaching about the importance of women supporting each other, the importance of us collaborating and connecting and understanding that there is no competition when you are doing what you have been uniquely gifted to do. Having her come on and speak as a guest speaker was my way of putting my money where my mouth is. And I will tell you that she did a phenomenal job. And one of the things that she talked about during her speech, or when she was presenting to the women, was the story of the Lion King and how, although he inherited his position because his father was king and because his father died, he then had to fill the role, the shoes of his dad. That wasn't enough for him to achieve excellence and to achieve greatness. And he was only able to do that with Timon and Pumbaa. And even though, when you think about the relationship that these animals have, in the jungle, under any other circumstance, Simba would have eaten them alive. But what happened was that Timon and Pumbaa really helped Simba grow into the king that he was destined to be. And so as it related to her, she talked about how she struggled or used to struggle with owning the title of writer. And I've always believed in her ability to write because I've read her work. I think she's a phenomenal writer. I think that she's very true to her voice and to who she is in her writing. And that in itself is one of the best things a writer can do. Being able to come off on paper the same way that you speak is so important because that is how people are going to connect to you. And Stephanie does that especially well. And it's something that I've always said to her. And so even when she didn't believe in herself that she was good enough, I was constantly telling her that she was. And not only was I telling her, but I was encouraging her to put her work out, out into the universe. And I connected her with various people and platforms that would allow for her to share her voice. And I think that Stephanie the writer is something we're going to see a lot more of in the coming year. But I mean, every woman in that room really was moved by what she said. It resonated with all of us because I think that, it's no secret that women especially have been brainwashed into believing that we are in competition with each other. We compete for jobs, We compete for the attention of men. We compete over who's the prettiest, who looks the hottest, whose stomach's the flattest, whose butt is the biggest. So we're constantly not only comparing ourselves to other women, but we're competing against them. And I want to start breaking down those misconceptions, because I think that we're all beautiful in our unique ways, and that has to be embraced in all forms. And that is a lot of what I do with the Fierce Woman work. It's what drives and motivates a lot of my work. It's really about stepping up, not just for ourselves, but for each other. It's about looking at the next woman and seeing her maybe at her weakest, or maybe she's in a position where she doesn't feel her best and she feels defeated. It's not for us. We should not knock that woman down further. Instead, what we should do is uplift them and give them that encouraging word and let them know it's going to be okay. Let them know that it's enough. And I think that is probably what has been the theme for a lot of the work that I've done this year. On this podcast, we've touched upon a whole bunch of issues. I've interviewed a handful of entrepreneurs. I've talked about the importance of letting go and letting God, trusting yourself, believing in your God-given talents. I've also talked about the importance of self-care and making sure that you're taking that time for yourself to regroup, to rest, to recharge and refuel, because we can't pour from an empty cup, right? So if we're giving so much of ourselves to other people that we have nothing left for ourselves, we're going to burn ourselves out. And then at that point, we're not going to be of any good to anyone. So the goal is to make sure that we are operating and functioning at 150%, right? 100% is not enough, because 100% is only enough for yourself. And if you want to give to others, you have to be overflowing. So you want to make sure that you're always at 150%, 200%, because everything extra is what you give to the world. So this year has been just a huge success for me. I'm really looking forward to what the new year brings for me. For 2018, I'm just really focusing on the concept of more. And what that means to me is just everything I did in 2017 plus more. And so I want to give more. I want to help more. I want to spread more love, more kindness, more positivity. I want to work more money, more health, more joy, more happiness, everything. I just want more for me, for you, for the entire world, and I would be remiss to not mention the fact that my island of Puerto Rico, as of today, has been 100 days without power. They are still in the dark in many areas of the island. There are still many families who have been displaced, whose homes have been destroyed, who really have nothing. And, I encourage all of us to do more, to help more, to be more present, to just be more grateful, right? Because it's so easy for us to get caught up in our everyday lives and the things that we don't have, that we want, and we often lose sight of what we have. So the fact that you're listening to me right now, most likely through your smartphone, in the comfort of a warm space, whether it's in your home, whether it's at work, whether it's in your car or on the train, you know where you're going after this. You know where your next meal is coming from. You know that when you go home tonight and lay your head, right, there's a warm bed there for you. And so these are all things that we tend to take for granted because we don't think about it. But there are so many people in this world that don't have these basic necessities. And that's why it's so important to express gratitude for even the smallest things. The fact that you opened up your eyes this morning and took a breath, you should be grateful for that. That is a blessing because someone didn't wake up this morning. This morning, there's a family planning a funeral service for a loved one. Somewhere in the world, a child has lost their mother or their father. Okay, or somewhere in the world, a parent has lost their child. So if you're healthy, if your family is healthy, if your children are safe and healthy, that's something to be grateful for. And this episode, there's no particular theme. It's really just me recapping the year, just reflecting on my own life and what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for you, for your continuous support, for believing in me and my work and my mission to empower and inspire women across the globe, because I 100% believe that women are the ones who make the world go round. And imagine if there was a world full of fierce women, not working against each other, but instead working together for the greater good. Okay, we could create some amazing things. And so, yeah, man, I just want you guys, whenever you think you're going through a bad funk or you've had a bad day, I want you to step back for a moment and say, how bad is this really? I'm alive. And as long as you're alive, that in itself is a blessing. I lost my uncle this year. Unexpected. It was a heart attack. And his heart had stopped beating for 6 minutes. By the time the EMS got to him and performed CPR and resuscitated him, he had been without oxygen for a total of 18 minutes. And so even though they were able to perform CPR and resuscitate him and get him to the hospital in time, where they were able to do a procedure to cool his body, and I don't know, some medical terms, if you cool the body within a certain period, your chances of survival increase. But unfortunately for him, though his organs were revived, the loss of oxygen to his brain was so severe that he was destined to be a vegetable, basically. And he was, brain dead. And it was probably the hardest thing that I've experienced so far. And I will tell you that I've experienced a lot of death in my family. Death is not anything new to me. I've been dealing with death since I was 2 years old, when my maternal grandfather passed away. And then the year right after that, my uncle got murdered. Then a few years after that, my dad's father passed away, and then my grandmother, and then I lost a really close cousin that was murdered. And so, yeah, guys, I've been dealing with death all my life, and so it's not something that's foreign to me. But this loss was so unexpected, and this person was so much more to me than an uncle. He was really like a second dad, and it's something that I still haven't recovered from. A part of me, I think, is still in denial, where I haven't fully accepted that he's passed. And in my mind, I don't know if in my mind, I feel like he's just living in Brooklyn with my grandmother, and and I just haven't spoken to him. But the times when it really becomes real to me is when my daughters do something funny, or I record them doing something silly in a video, and normally I would send him these things because he just absolutely adored them. And now when I go or find myself wanting to send him the videos or the pictures, I can't. And it's in those moments that I guess reality strikes. And, and I've been wanting to write about what that experience was like for me. And this past week, I've sat in front of my computer and attempted to, and the words just won't flow yet. And so I'm not going to rush it. I know that it's a process, and that's something that we can't rush no matter how much we want it to. Right? We want the pain to go away. We want to feel whole again. And I know that I'm not the only one who has lost something or someone this year. Maybe you have as well. And I just want you to know that it does get better. Even if it doesn't feel like it does at the moment, you just have to allow yourself to feel the emotions, allow yourself to go through it. Don't try to avoid it. Don't blame yourself for not being able to be more or do more or whatever, because I think that's something that a lot of us struggle with too. We hold on to guilt a lot of times, no matter what the situation is. And so for 2018, I want you guys to start living guilt-free. I want you to start reclaiming your power, your time, reclaiming the word no. Okay? You don't have to say yes to everything and everyone. And part of self-care is being able to say no to others so that you can say yes to yourself. If you don't want to do something, don't do it. Plain and simple. If it upsets someone else, you know what? They'll get over it. Better than upset than you saying yes to something you don't want to do and then you're unhappy. Because who is that serving? At that point, what you're doing or what you're saying, what you're putting out into the universe is that your needs don't matter. And you're willing to sacrifice your own happiness to appease someone else. And so for the new year, I want you to stop doing that. Everything that you do should be purposeful. It should be intentional. It should be something that you want to do because it's going to make you happy. It's going to make you feel better. It's going to enhance your life, your experience, something. Now, if you saying yes to someone else is going to make you happy, then by all means do that. But do not sacrifice your own happiness and peace of mind just to make someone else happy. Because in the end, 9 times out of 10, they will always choose themselves first. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what else I want to share with you guys. I just want you to, as this year comes to an end, I want you to reflect on everything you did or didn't do this year, right? Think about the things that you wanted to do. Go back and look at your vision board from the beginning of the year, if you have one, and check off all of the things that you did. Congratulate yourself on them. In fact, reward yourself. And then take a second to reflect on what you didn't do this year. And then make a plan to make it happen for 2018. Right? Because I know that shit happens. And sometimes we have the best intentions of doing stuff. And for whatever reason, it just doesn't fall through. It just doesn't happen for us. And I don't want you to be discouraged if it didn't happen. Because just because it didn't happen for you this year doesn't mean it's never going to happen. Okay? Not now doesn't mean not ever. So don't give up on yourself. Don't lose hope. Don't be too hard on yourself. If there's things that maybe you did this year that you're not too proud of, you know what? Forgive yourself for it and keep it moving. You're human. We're all human. We make mistakes. But the key is to reflect on the mistake and to learn from it so that we don't make the same mistake moving forward. I will tell you, I made a ton of mistakes this year. But in those mistakes, I also learned a lot about myself and about the person I want to be, right? Because I'm a human being. I'm a human becoming. I'm always in a state of growth. So I'm always changing. I'm always evolving. And so I always heed the lessons that my mistakes revealed to me. And one of the things that I learned about myself this year is that I can't sacrifice myself for the sake of my work. And what I mean by that is that, yes, I am all for helping women. I am all for collaboration and for creating movements where we can join forces. But I have to be able to discern the wolves in sheep's clothing, because when you're at the top of your game, when you're doing great, when people love you, when you have, a pretty good following, that's going to attract leeches and people who are going to want to attach themselves to you because of what they think you can give and bring to them. And I allowed myself to fall into that trap this year. And, and I was part of something that initially I was really excited about. And then the further deeper I got into it, I realized that it really wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And it was a direct contradiction of myself, my brand, of everything that I stand for, and I think that it wasn't my best work. And I was disappointed in myself because I feel like I let my followers down and the women who support me, because I didn't deliver what I said I would. And that was a tough lesson for me to learn, because I am a person who is really big on integrity. But I'm telling you that the lesson for me was that I just have to be more careful about who I choose to align myself with and who I choose to work with, because not everyone has the same intentions as I do. And so for the new year, I want you to also think about that in your own life and maybe how that has applied or showed up, for you. And it may not be the same circumstance or the same situation, but there are always things that we reveal about ourselves and how we allow certain people to enter our lives. Just have to be more careful. Be more careful of who you give your time to, who you allow into your space. Energy is everything, guys. Everything. And a person with the wrong vibe and the wrong energy can completely just disrupt everything. It will disrupt your peace of mind. It'll disrupt the way you think, the way that you function. And I know that for me, it really brought out a side of me that I've been working really hard to keep, like, just to keep away, because I know myself, and I know that there are times where I can let that Brooklyn girl out, and I can be that, 15-year-old with the 5411s that didn't trust women, right? And I wasn't about female friendships or relationships or any of that. And so I can scrap with the best of them, but that's not a part of myself that I'm proud of, right? I know that that girl is still there, but I try really hard to keep her tamed and keep her at bay, because I know better, because I'm self-aware, and because I know who I want to be, and that is not who I want to be. And so I allowed, certain situations to almost bring that person out of me, and it was really disappointing for me. And so, I've had a lot of time to reflect on that, and a lot of time, for growth, and I've forgiven myself, and I just know that I'm going to do better in 2018. And I think that, for you guys, I'm going to end it on that note as well. Just do better. Whatever you did this year, do better next year. And that's it. Forgive yourselves. Understand that you're human. You're not perfect. And if anyone expects you to be perfect, that is an unrealistic expectation, and it's not fair to you. Don't carry that burden with you. It's not yours to carry, because no one is perfect. And with that said, I'm going to end this last episode for 2017 with gratitude and love and respect for all of you who tune in every week and listen to me and support me and write me messages of encouragement and DMs telling me, like, to keep going and keep doing and keep using my platform to inspire and empower. I have so much more for you guys in the coming year. So that's pretty much it. If you guys are looking for a vision board workshop to attend, I still have spots in my February one. Just head over to www.manifestthe2.eventbrite.com. And if you already bought your ticket, I can't wait to see you guys. I'm so looking forward. The Vision Board Workshop is one of my favorite events of the year. It's exciting. We're going to work hard, but we're also going to have fun. And I'm also going to be attending the Visiones 20-year anniversary. It was founded by Gloria Rodriguez of the De Almas Institute. And if you've been following me for the past year or so, or even longer, you know that I absolutely love Gloria. I stand by the work that she does. I worked with her for an entire year, and it is because of her that I do this work that I do. So if you want to attend that, make sure that you connect with her on Instagram. She's at Guapa Glow, GUAPOGLO, or at De Almas Institute, and you can find the link to the retreat in any of those two bios. But guys, now until the new year, I will bid you adieu. I will say goodnight, and make sure you go out there and crush some goals.